Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 2. Now let's start the fanfic. Land of Fire, Land of Wind Border. Sasuke was leaning against the wall inside a housing building for those crossing the border during a particularly bad sandstorm. It was like a hotel with lousy service. In the room with him were Sai, Sakura, and Kakashi. Upon arriving, the team was informed that a sandstorm had suddenly appeared, and since traveling through sandstorms were a surefire way to get lost in the desert, they weren't allowed to cross just yet. At least that was the cover story. While the Suna ninja didn't show any hostility or anxiety, the group knew better and was taught to see underneath the underneath. Most likely they were being stalled, and they knew that if they did anything suspicious they'd be turned away. Still, Kakashi wasn't an idiot, or blind. So he had Sai send several of his ink mice towards Suna under the cover of night, where they went unnoticed as they passed two men in cloaks with red clouds. Kage's private training ground at night. Naruto sat on the ground in a lotus position, calm and relaxed within the secluded place where Gaara did some of his more private training. The last 2 days were spent hanging around with Fu and getting her introduced to the Sand siblings, along with Matsuri and Kana. Naruto enjoyed that night with Kana and Fu, who used the shadow clone technique to do things that went well with his stamina. He had to remember to thank Jiraiya for his part in inspiring Fu with his Ikaichaseries, after kicking H's for spying on his parents, on the night of his conception, damn pervy sage and demon fox. That memory will never leave him alone. Extending his territory, Naruto felt the near-absent life around him on the surface of the desert sands, despite the drop in the temperature as night fell. Taking a deep breath, he guided his chakra into the loose sand to occupy the space between it and detect the life forms hiding beneath the surface. Naruto's territory could peer into water and sand with ease, while forcing it into something like solid rock was difficult. Naruto felt the presence of a scorpion creeping behind him beneath the sand, curious and unaware if he was a predator. Naruto stilled the chakra around the scorpion and then used shape manipulation to shape it into a box and temper it into a solid form. Exhaling, he willed the box to move and it rose inside his domain, the scorpion and the layer of sand it hid beneath inside of it. The box appeared to float around him, when actually he used mental effort and chakra control inside his territory to push the box. Once it was face to face with Naruto, he stared at the scorpion without any emotion on his face, despite its stinger lashing out against the box in fear. Taking another deep breath, he smiled and gently pushed the box 50 feet away before lowering it to the surface of the sand. Careful, he released the box and the scorpion darted away from him. Curiosity killed more than a cat. Standing, Naruto forced chakra into his feet and leapt into the air. As he reached the summit of his jump, he recreated the box he sealed the scorpion in and solidified it beneath his feet, giving him a foothold in the sky. Kicking off it, he somersaulted and fell towards the ground with his arms spread. When he neared the ground, he shaped 9 small boxes in a circle around him and increased the density of chakra around them to form 9 chakra chains with the same point of origin, each attached to one of the boxes. They acted as a net, as he landed upright on his right foot. Extending his hand in a claw-like manner towards a large stone, he commanded the chakra become a second set of finger. Swiftly swinging them down, the chakra lashed out against the stone and created decent-sized gashes. The Temple of Enlightenment was called Naruto's territory for a reason. The area filled with his chakra operates according to his control. The chakra lacing the air can make it blow or become a blade. The chakra in the sand can capture and shape it, and nothing was out of his reach. But the greater the area under his influence, the lower the control he has. In addition, the technique can be disturbed by someone with enough chakra or control. Part of the reason the technique was so effective was that it was unknown to the majority of those who would pursue him, but information was the key to battles and he wanted to maintain his secrecy. He would only use this against someone who could actually see chakra as an absolute last resort. With his exercises done, he made his way to Fu's side. It was times like this he wished he had perfected his father Hiraishin, the flying thunder god technique. But unfortunately, he would need a greater reference than his mother's memories. If only there were someone living who could advise him. Back in Konoha, the 3 members of the 4th Hokage's private guards all sneezed at once. With Fu, the green-haired Kunoichi was currently lying on her bed at Gaara's manor and reading more of Jiraiya's literature, when she noticed her lover walk in. "Hey, Naruto." Fu pointed to a page in her book. "Can we try this tonight?" Naruto went over to read what she was proposing, before his entire face went red and he backed away slowly. He enjoyed, but he wasn't a hopeless pervert like Jiraiya, and there were some things even the self-proclaimed super pervert won't do. Naruto doubted he could even get as many girls at once that they referenced the previous night. How he got the research for such a thing will escape Naruto's mind forever, but it was an abomination to all but those who worshipped the ground the author wrote on and carried his books like a religious text. Land of Wind, Land of Fire Border. Kakashi was reading said unspeakable acts when he sneezed. "Did you catch a cold, sensei?" Sakura asked. Back with Fu. "Remember what I've said about limitations?" He reminded her. "You consented to doing anything I wanted already." Fu told him, getting off the bed. "When was that?" he asked. "The night we were with Kana." She crossed her arms. "After the clones. You never go back on your word, right?" "Now Fu," Naruto muttered, as Fu inched towards him with a predatory look on her face, her mind thinking of several ways to try this. It didn't help that Shumei was giving her advice and Kurama was laughing his tails off. That's not fair. No man would be thinking rationally then. Kinky things that pervy sage indirectly corrupted her with aside. Fu was a great woman. Strong, smart, reliable, caring, she was perfect for him. Hell, Naruto could see raising a family with her. They'd have to keep privacy seals in the bedroom, due to her insatiable behavior at times, but other than that. Naruto, Fu pounced and he wound up with his back against the wall and Fu pressed against him. "Don't resist, just enjoy. But I need to save my energy to apply the seal on Gaara tomorrow." Naruto made one last desperate plea, but it fell on deaf ears. Before she could act, Naruto's ears twitched and he looked out the window as a muffled explosion went off nearby. It was accompanied by a small flash that illuminated a portion of the night sky, and a white bird with a male Ino in a black cloak with red clouds being chased by sand. Salvation. I mean, oh no. Akatsuki's attacking. I'd better go help Gaara. Naruto said, before he leapt out the window. "I'm killing them for this," Fu muttered under her breath and started getting dressed for combat. "I was so close." With Gaara, white wings of clay took to the desert sky of the night, avoiding a barrage of sand tendrils that slid through the air and grated against each other while acting like the sand Jinchuriki's limbs. Golden hair swayed in the air, as smaller clay birds were released and swatted from the sky. "Not bad. Deidara chirped as twin tendrils lashed out and batted him off his ride and towards the ground. The sand darted to catch him from above and below, entrapping him, but the clay bird swooped in and retrieved him in time. "That was pretty close, You won't get away in one piece," Gaara told the Akatsuki member. Sand gathered behind him in the shape of compressed spheres and became bullets. Leaving a trail that shimmered in the moonlight, they flew towards the clay bird whose acrobatic superiority saved its master from a death without grace. The city became an obstacle course as they navigated throughout it with agility. Through the looping passages and roads, around the buildings and towers, they flew. The exchange of bombs and sand woke the sleeping residents who witnessed the flight of their leader as the Akatsuki member rose higher into the sky. "Pretty good," Deidara mused before he pulled out a clay figure. "But this is it, for you and the whole village." The clay figure became a giant and followed the whims of gravity. Falling towards the village below, the blast element-infused clay would rupture and bestow the art of death in an instant. Gaara's eyes widened and then steeled themselves. Sky sand defensive wall. He raised his arms and the sand obeyed. Towers of sand rose at the beckoning of the desert master, the fifth case cage. Spreading like a great wave and then hardening, the sand spout separated the village from the explosion that lit up the night sky with hue of destruction, as a certain blonde watched on and made his way towards them. Gaara leaned on one knee as he dealt with the exhaustion from the effort of raising the wall to protect his village. Blocking that is amazing, Deidara commented, and Gaara glared. The sound of shifting sand and the all-consuming shadow were the only warnings he got as twin-tipped sand arms began to enclose the very sky. Sand prison, Gaara announced, and the sphere of sand was sealed. Blast. Deidara's voice echoed and his bird exploded, leaving a gap in the prison for him to fall through. As he made his way to the earth and sand tendrils rained from above, the mouth on the left hand spit of a certain figure and filled it with chakra. A plume of smoke gave way to another bird and he landed on it in a crouch as they pulled away. Gaara raised his hand and concentrated. The sand of the desert ruptured and roared as the head of Shukaku took form. Deidara hovered in place as the sight. Whoa, he muttered, relatively impressed before he took off. Guess I'll back off for now, The mouth of the Ikibi raccoon's avatar opened. Sand and demonic chakra of the Biju merged and swirled to the fierce howl of wind and sand. Gaara's eyes glowed luminous golden for but a brief moment as he took aim. Hear the howl of the desert, he ominously proclaimed. Roar of Shukaku. The trigger was pulled. The light of the golden roar painted the night sky and parted the clouds while the desert sands were pushed back in the shockwave. The wrath of the desert was unleashed in its entirety. The flight of the explosive artist was cut short as the light consumed him, his only salvation with the detonation of the bird carrying him, allowing him to escape the full force of the blast. He fell to earth as the form of Shukaku faded. With Naruto, how come every Jinchuriki I meet has some cool technique or bloodline ability and I only get stuck with faster healing? Naruto said to no one in particular. I want to blow stuff up too. Hey, Kurama chuckled. I guess this would be a bad time to tell you about one of my tail beast skills then. You've been holding out on me. In my defense, imagine if you had access to that kind of firepower when you were a small kid. The village would have burned down. Well, I couldn't really care about that, but you'd most likely have killed yourself. We'll discuss this as we make our way to Gaara. Naruto closed and started leaping over rooftops, the buzzing of beetles following him. With Gaara, Gaara made his way towards the fallen form of Deidara on a rooftop that served as his final resting place. His breath ran ragged from the exhaustion of the fight. Lethargy set in as the adrenaline faded from his system. Is it over, then? I would say, not. The voice of the explosive artist came from behind the weary cage. He turned to face his hunter while the fallen figure lost its color and became clay once again. That was pretty close, Deidara admitted. He took that and still, Gaara thoughts ran rampant. But, he formed the seal of the explosion with his right hand. In the end, victory's mine. Clay spiders broke through the sand gourd and crept along Gaara's body. Before he could mutter a word or protect himself, the final words were spoken. Blast. The spiders ruptured and the blast element was ignited within. Point-blank explosions rocked the rooftop as the cage's body stood at ground zero. He fell to his knees and was consumed by the rising tower of constant explosions, and smoke rose in the air with the scent of charred flesh. The sand armor protecting his body was cracked and exposed raw skin beneath. The cage fell into oblivion. Man, he approached the fallen Jinkuzuriki, his hands chewing a new sculpture. That took some doing. Mixing detonating clay in the sand in the gourd. A smirk etched its way across his face. You weren't giving me any openings, either. You're as tough as I figured. Cage, the clay expanded to form another fowl with more girth than his regular breed. All right, now I'm gonna take you someplace fun, I don't think so, roared another voice. On instinct, Deidara leapt to the right and off the rooftop, his left spitting out another bird to ride on. The carrier game that was to house the cage's body was split in two by a blue crescent arc that cleaved through the figure, and an explosion rocked the rooftop. Standing amidst the dancing flames and formless smoke, a cloaked figure stepped from the backdrop without injury. The wavering air added to his presence and was blown away as his chakra roared with fury. There, wrapped in a blue aura stood Naruto, brandish his chakra broadsword of Uzushio. Naruto. A second figure hovered next to him, her green hair shifting in the wind. Green hair, wings, blonde hair, whisker marks, pooled his observations into a single Nanabi and Kyuubi. Get Gaara to the hospital. Fu told her lover. I've got this. Alright, but be careful. He deferred to her wishes and hoisted Gaara over his shoulder. He's got an Iwa band and that clay is probably earth element, so lightning will short it out. These guys move in a pair, so I'll search for any out-of-place signatures and find the other one. Naruto leapt off the rooftop that smoldered with his old friend in tow. Another 2 Jinchuriki. Sasori Dana won't be happy that one got away, but maybe if I bring this one or the other one. Deidara checked his supplies. I'm glad I bought extra clay, Now then, Fu looked at the artist being hoisted in the air by his artwork, her wings glistening in the moonlight among burning orange that contaminated the sky. Water gathered into her hand and took the form of a curved blade. Payback for ruining my Naruto time. From above, a horde of beetles descended upon the artist, whose creation took off like a jet. He's too fast for the beetles right now. Spreading her wings, the Jinchuriki took flight and flew after the artist. Come on. Deidara chided the Jinchuriki. Let me show you a night on the town. I'm sure we'll have a blast, The pair began the dance of the sky once again, with bombs exploding in the background. With Sasori. What is taking him so long? The puppet master of legend sighed. He hated waiting, despite being a puppet and therefore having all the time in the world. I am going to turn him into a human puppet for this. A wave of chakra washed over the puppet master and his steel tail whipped. Leaving a silver arc in the air, the metal batted away the projectiles that came towards him. His gaze was drawn to the figure landing ahead of him. This was unexpected, Sasori mused. Chakra needles. Looks like Kakuzu didn't gloss over your growth when it comes to using chakra constructs after all. Akatsuki. Naruto pulled out the pole and formed a blade for combat. It's time for the hunters to become the hunted. Is that so? Sasori chuckled lightly. Then he ripped off his mask and exposing the puppet's mouth. The slots of the mouth slid down and a barrage of silver senbon rained down forward towards the Jinchuriki in a spread pattern. Heading to the left or right would hold no salvation for those caught in the spray. One touch would mean a long death. Yet, Naruto advanced forward. The slicing of the air as the senbon passed by, the clashing of the chakra blade against the metal, the sand being littered with the needles of death, these constant sounds echoed throughout the night air outside the walls of the village hidden in the sand. You saw through it. He raised the arm that held dozens of cylinders attached to a larger one and launched it into the sky. It spun and released the cylinders, which further split into a shower of senbon that dotted the sky silver. How about this? Naruto howled and flared his chakra outward. The pulse it released batted the needles out of the sky and sent them spiraling around the Jinchuriki, who continued his charge towards the puppet master with a fist shrouded in the white cloak of wind chakra and a chakra blade in the other. The steel tail of the Akatsuki member flashed and made its way towards Naruto. Skidding along the desert sands, he twisted and avoided the piercing edge that refracted the moonlight in his eyes as he passed with his blade arcing. Drawing a blue crescent arc, it cleaved through the tail. Shatter. Naruto finished his rotation and slammed his fist into Sasori's body. Hardliner. Gale fist. A cloud of sand was thrown into the air. The sound of crushed wood echoed with the sound of explosives from the village. Splinters fell like leaves as the cloud of sand cleared and Naruto leapt back. You've proven yourself worthy of learning my name. A red-headed boy appeared from the remains of the broken puppet while donning the cloak of Akatsuki. My name is Sasori of the Red Sand. Allow me to show you my masterpiece. He unraveled a scroll. With Fu and Deidara, 2 ninja danced in the night sky as the villagers watched below the dazzling yet deadly display above them. The sky would be filled with bolt of blue lightning one second and orange flames and smoke the next. The flaps of bird wings from the clay fowls were countered by the buzzing of insect wings. These are a lot faster. Deidara launched numerous quad-winged games at the caramel-toned woman with mint-green hair. They swiveled and darted at a helix pattern towards Fu before accelerating. Fu twisted her body and ascended towards the moon, two blades of hardened water in her hands. Her figure became silhouetted in the moon along with dozens of dots that represented her flying beetles. Halting in midair, her wings folded while lightning climbed into her blades and she fell to earth. Twin trails of lighting circled into their own helix as she spiraled towards the ground. The quad wings that failed to break away from their ascent were cut down and riddled with lightning to diffuse them. The pieces fell with Fu until she opened her wings and fluttered parallel to small oasis below with the clay game carpet bombing from above which exploded on impact and threw up spouts of water. Deidara looked on as his hands were producing more sculptures. He abandoned his current ride instantly when a shadow descended from the sky above. Hidden in the darkness of the night were the beetles Fu had before her descent. Blast! The large bird exploded with enough force to light up a tenth of Suna as it incinerated the insects. With a flick of his wrist and a bit of chakra he landed on a more slender bird than the bulky one he had before. He applied chakra to his feet and leaned back as far as he could as the lightning streaming blades crossed at the point where his head once was. Meeting Fu's gaze with a smirk, he tossed up 5 clay figures that became spiders and were heading for the Jinchuriki while forming the seal for his element. Blurs from dragonflies that Fu gathered from the oasis nearby tore past and captured the spiders as he muttered the trigger phase and the explosion was set off the side, sending both of them into a spiral, recovery, and subsequent chase once again. Have you ever experienced the art of a single moment? He asked the fleeting Jinchuriki of the sky as his hands began jointly chewing a large amount of clay from his pouch. That single moment where true beauty takes hold and shines while leaving an unforgettable memory. Yes, although it's only seen when I'm with Naruto. Fu replied while she began infusing lightning chakra into her cylinder. I'll never forget those moments in my life. Deidara smirked, as both his hands spat out another sculpture that fell while he ascended. Sending his current method of transportation on a crash course, he released all the remaining pre-made figures into the sky save for one and they became a flock of birds of prey while Fu's cheeks puffed out and she gathered chakra into it. Hidden art. Hiding in scale powder. She mentally recited as the powder blanketed the sky and refracted moonlight to create a blinding glare. Deidara released his chakra grip on the bird and fell, while Fu unleashed her lightning chakra-infused beetles and they scattered. The birds swarmed on her supposed location hidden in the light and impacted with each other to set off a chain reaction that she avoided. Fu dove toward Deidara who had gotten himself a new ride. A much bigger ride. C2. Dragon. Deidara looked smugly at the Jinchuriki. This would be the moment where you flee, Lucky 7. I'm running low on chakra. Fu telepathically told her tenant as she took to the skies with a predator in tow. Well Fu girl, that's what happens when you converted so much into lightning and fed the little ones. Shumei chided her. I can give you a quick refill, but you'll be feeling the effects for the next few days depending on how much. Just enough for summoning a large water beetle. Fu abandoned her water blades and flew beyond the walls of the village while avoiding roughly a dozen mini dragons with mane one trailing. Got it, but you'll be feeling buggy for the next 3 days. Shumei flared its chakra over the girl and a thin green outline formed. Her pupils became compounded and glowed green. Her wings flapped faster and she accelerated, rising into the sky and going through hand seals until summoning. A large beetle with sapphire scales that the moonlight washed over appeared. The beetle's elytra were opened while its hind wings moved too fast to be seen as anything but a blur. What is the meaning of summoning me in the middle of a desert, young one? The beetle complained. I am better suited for aquatic ventures or areas with more moisture. Just because you hold the Great One does not mean you can summon me in such an environment. Sorry Mi-sama, but I need you to spray the area. Fu begged. Fine. The summoning bellowed before converting its chakra and opening its mandibles. Water sprayed out in a fine mist of condensation and hung in the air before the summoning vanished. I'm all wet. Deidara shrugged, until he heard the buzzing of beetles around his main ride and saw several small beetles with translucent abdomens, filled with sorry little ones. Fu muttered to the tiny insects before giving the final command. Hidden art. Flash beetle bomb. The beetles shone with the flash of life before their abdomens burst and released the lightning into the cloud of mist. Lightning jumped from water particle to water particle. Arching lightning conducted and was sent throughout the air. The dragons and the artist fell to the desert sands below with a loud thud and impact cloud. Fu lowered herself gently until she was hovering over the artist who was burned and smoldering. How? His voice came out rasp and weak. His organs were failing, ruptured from the electricity flowing throughout his body. My beetles were infused with a majority of my converted lightning chakra, she told the dying artist. As a result, they become no different than your explosives. They shine for but a brief moment to kill an enemy and then return to the world as ashes. Hey, a soft but fragile smile graced his lips. Beautiful. With those last words, the artist known as Deidara passed from the impure world and his body went still. Fu used a final lightning technique to ensure his clay was completely diffused and his body was dead, before placing his corpse in a preservation storage scroll. You may have been an enemy, but nevertheless, rest in peace. With Sasori. Iron Sand. Drizzle. The puppet master announced. The greatest puppet in Sasori's arsenal had been released, the third cage. The gathered iron sand was fired like bullets towards the Uzumaki, who had to reseal his conducting rod as the metal construct was constantly being drawn by magnetic field and raised a barrier with chakra chains as a cloud of dust was throwing up. The shots halted once visibility was lost. Sasori's fingers stood rigid, his puppet hovering over his right shoulder. They twitched and began a complex pattern as a barrage of chakra needles were fired from cloud to bring up a wall of iron sand. It was then a shadow grew on the ground and Sasori looked up. Naruto's hand was wreathed in chakra and formed the blade he once showed Gaara. Swinging the blade down, he severed the chakra strings as Sasori jumped back and sent the puppet to ground with a side kick as the iron sand lost control. Sasori extended his hands and a tube emerged from both palms. A stream of pressurized water was fired at the Uzumaki Jinchuriki, who dodged as he felt the thin streams within his territory. Once he used up the water, Naruto acted. Rain down. His blonde hair ruffled as he raised his hand. Dozens of chakra needles were shaped above Sasori from Naruto's chakra permeating his territory. They flew towards the androgynous man. Sasori hopped lightly on his feet and avoided the barrage. Finishing with a dodge roll, he extended his hands and chakra strings were launched from all 10 fingers. The right 5 connected with Naruto's forearm and sent it curved towards his head with the chakra blade active and forced him to drop the shape manipulation to avoid decapitating himself before streaming chakra into his free hand and severing the strings attached with them. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt movement behind him and somersaulted backwards. The third cage puppet's claws and saw cut off a tuft of hair as he landed and slid back. He looked up in curiosity as the iron sand gathered into the sky and formed a dense sphere that hovered above the center of battlefield. Iron sand. Needle sphere. The sphere ruptured and iron spikes were launched from the sky and Naruto ran. Swerving left and right, jumping backwards and rolling forward at opportune moments, he avoided the constructs that littered the sky and ground. He slid to halt when the downpour stopped. Then spikes shot out like thorny tendrils from the implanted the construct and Naruto dodged as best he could but was scraped on various points of his body before they formed a cage. It's over, Sasori told him. My poison is in your system. Unless you receive the antidote from me, you'll die painfully in 3 days. Naruto smirked as his chakra blade vibrated using chakra control and became shrouded in white wind chakra. The blade flashed as he swung it and cut through his cage. Poison doesn't work on me. I may have over-relied on it, Sasori thought before replying. Let's test your resistance then. You don't need all of your limbs anyway. Iron sand gather. Sword. The sand took on the shape of blades. With a twitch of the finger, The puppet's magnetic field gathered the Senbon from the desert sand that were used earlier and embedded them inside the blades to make an even more lethal weapon. That might do the trick, the Uzumaki muttered. For someone who needs Jinchuriki alive, you sure as hell are going for a lot of kill strikes. Even if it takes a few years, the Kyuubi will reform eventually, the Cage puppet clacked. I think I'll turn you into a puppet and add you to my collection. I can replace anything missing. The blades fell with aid of gravity. The puppet's chest cavity opened and a burst of chakra made the blades fall faster. The last visible sight of Naruto was his widening eyes turning red with slits with pupils as the impact threw up a cloud of sand and the shock wave shattered the chakra control that maintained the Temple of Enlightenment. Oh, for father's sake, what are you waiting for? The fox howled as his host leapt back out of the cloud with enhanced speed and landed on all fours. The scrapes on his body were evaporating as steam poured from his body. Breaking down this poison in your system isn't easy when you keep getting bathed in it. I'm up against a ink cage, puppet or not. It's like fighting Gaara but with poison instead of crushing. Are you that daft kit? Kurama sighed. All those books and scrolls you've read since your exile and you never picked up a chemistry one. Iron sand's main component is magnetite, which loses its charge once sufficiently heated. How do you know that? He mentally questioned his tenant. I've been around since the Sage of the Six Paths' final days. My hosts have both been involved in the Great Wars. Do you honestly think either I or they wouldn't have learned the abilities of an enemy cage? Kurama snorted. Just roast the damn sand already. I don't have a fire seal scroll on me right now. I didn't think I'd need to make one just yet and I'm not a fire user. Naruto paused. Well, I guess we could use that skill you've been holding out on me. The heat from my Biju skill depends on the number of tails I'm using. Your three-tailed state should be enough to disrupt the magnetism from the puppet and charcoal it into kindling. You'll also have a dry throat after this. Naruto's whisker marks became engorged. A crimson shroud emerged from his body and took shape as bits of his skin began to peel. Donning his three-tailed state, a murderous grin spread across his face as he howled to the heavens. This does not bode well. The puppeteer felt alarmed and metallic protrusions emerged from his back as Naruto gathered air and chakra into his lungs and his chest and cheeks swelled. Nine-tailed fox fire stream. Scarlet tongues of fire raced across the desert and roared. The sky grew blood red as it flared and turned the sand into molten glass from contact with the flames that devoured the iron sand and the third cage puppet. The puppeteer decided to cut his losses and took to the skies. The blades on his back rotated and he flew off in the distance while Naruto slowly exited his tailed beast state exhausted. Damn it! Naruto swore while he clenched his dry throat and coughed. He got out of my range in the middle of the attack, now even puppets can fly. Kurama scoffed. You've still got a long way to all this is over, you better make some more sealing scrolls and training from those samurai in iron. And hurry up with that genjutsu blocking array. You won't be able to fight that masked man when he returns at this rate and I'll be damned if I fall under his control again, damn Sharingan users. Whatever. Naruto stood upright. At least Akatsuki is 2 members down now if Fu took care of the other one. Naruto began to make his way back to the village to check on his lover and friend. As he passed the gap of the defenses that served as the entrance, he failed to notice the legion of black mice that hid in the shadows. The mice looked at each other and established 2 groups, all but one to carry the information they had back to their master, the last to trail Naruto who joined up with Kankuro. It slipped inside the puppet on his back. Cage's office. Gaara donned his hat once again after leaving the hospital despite the doctor's insistence. In his office were the 2 other Jinchuriki, his brother, and an elderly pair of siblings. To think my grandson went so far as to turn himself into a puppet, the elderly woman sighed. He even killed the third cage and turned him into one as well. Indeed, the older man shook his head. How did Akatsuki get past our village defenses without raising an alarm? Gaara asked. His brother stepped up. Yura. He sabotaged and killed the guards at the entrance. Kankuro told him. I was in the middle of a fight with him when I saw Naruto heading to confront Sasori, but by the time I finished, the third cage had been unleashed and I doubted I could keep up as a puppeteer. You couldn't, the woman chuckled. Only someone of my skill would be able to keep up with my grandson now. If it bothers you that much, I'll see about giving you some hands-on training. Still, this poses a bit of a problem. Chiyoba-sama is correct. Gaara rubbed his forehead. Konoha has a team waiting at the border and I can't hold them there for another day without reason. Naruto, while you and Fu are both technically free of any village, I'm sure they've heard rumors of your arrival and we'll need to relocate the pair of you until they leave. That's fine, but where? Fu asked while nursing a steadily growing headache from Shumei's tainted chakra. The Wind Daimyo and I were going through her father's predecessor's assets and found a certain hidden piece of property. Gaara referred to the Wind Daimyo whose greed helped trigger the invasion years ago. Only she, Matsuri, Tamari, Kankuro, and I know of its location. That place was great, Kankuro nodded. It was like a desert paradise. Given how much it cost, I wouldn't be surprised if a good portion of the budget that was supposed to be used to support Suna as retainers went into it. Regardless, Gaara sighed. This will be the perfect location for you to hide. The villagers are grateful for your help and will stay silent, but rumors will leak somehow. I'm not foolish enough to doubt that we have spies in our ranks. Alright, but can we have a few hours to restock on supplies? Naruto asked. I need to resupply my sealing materials and get some new clothes since the ones I'm wearing are shredded. Also, I need to apply the seal array to you in case this crap happens again. Matsuri and Kankuro will escort you both to the safe house after the seal is applied and supplies are bought, Gaara droned. Also, about that matter involving the Suna contractors we discussed. It's done and they'll arrive on the location shortly. Contractors. Kankuro looked at the blonde. We're keeping it a secret for now, but let's just say that it was money well spent on a future project. 2 days later, Team Kakashi finally arrived at Suna. The ink mice made it back to Sai, who recorded a transcript and log of the conversations, as well as visual information in the form of pictures on a book. After Sai passed out from chakra exhaustion, they stayed 1 day to discuss matters before they were given permission to cross now that the sandstorm had settled. While Sai passed by Kankuro, the ink mouse in the puppet that went unnoticed melted and shot up the inker's leg and into a container. When he sat down and poured the ink onto a map, it created a black trail indicating the path the puppeteer took to the safe house and back. He rolled it up and joined his teammates minus Kakashi, who was meeting with Gaara. Kakashi Hatake, Gaara looked at the bandaged Junin and activated a privacy seal. What happened to you? One of your elderly shinobi mistook me for my father. He scratched the back of his head. My apologies. Chiyoba-sama is getting along in years. The matter has been settled at the very least, he chuckled before getting serious. Anyway, we came to tell you about an organization named Akatsuki, but you've seemed to have run into them already. Gaara wasn't surprised. He knew that information would have been helpful much sooner, but in the end we were able to drive them off. I've sent the body of one back to Iwa. Well, that sandstorm lasted a really long time. Kakashi sighed and then tried to run the guilt angle to ask about Naruto. Otherwise we would have helped and the number of lives lost would be much smaller. Let's stop beating around the brush. Gaara dropped all pretenses. You've known about Akatsuki for years and now you decided to send the information. Right around the time rumors of a certain blonde reached the ears of the Hokage. Kage-sama, it was only rumors then, he argued. We only heard whispers and nothing concrete. Despite the fact that they appeared 4 years ago. When they tried and catch Naruto. Gaara glared at the man. It is bad enough that we Jinchuriki are called weapons and scorned for things we had no control over, or that the demons themselves were captured and sealed to start this so-called balance of power and kept as weapons. But it is that type of isolationist thinking that leads to war because of incidents that could have been avoided if the information was shared. Kakashi stood silent. If you raise the alarm then, Steps could have been better taken to neutralize the threat they present to the nations that are housing Jinchuriki, and I wouldn't have several dead men and women from the surprise attack. You don't go around hiding the fact that an organization of S-class criminals are targeting those similar to me and then try to slip it in at the last minute in order to guilt me about leaving you at the border while we had a guest. From my point of view, instead of giving all the information about Akatsuki to every nation holding a Jinchuriki, you opted to keep it to yourselves in hopes of letting the rest get captured to weaken them. Your sudden reactions make it clear that you had another goal and not in good faith coming here. Every nation has its secrets. Kakashi made his point, but Gaara had a rebuttal. Maybe, but we're dealing with an international group of cage-level opponents who can overthrow nations, destroy villages with massive bombs, and have had ample time to do whatever the hell they wanted for at least 4 years. They have already attacked Taki and Suna in order to claim their ninja who contain chakra demons, and by now I'm sure they moved on to the others by now. May I inquire how you discovered this information? The copycat asked. My source has first-hand experience, as have I. If the purpose of this visit was to inform me of a threat to my nation, then you have come too late. Tell your Hokage that I will be compiling all the information I have on the subject and sending it to the 5 great nations to take steps to avoid having this incident repeat itself and more of my kin going missing because they weren't aware they were being hunted nor their hunters' capabilities. This meeting is over. Translation. Get out now. In an Akatsuki base at the same time. Capture of the Gobi was successful, Itachi announced. Does something smell like steamed shark? Sasori added. Kisame opted to handle him alone and didn't listen when I told him that the Jinchuriki could use steam techniques. So that's what you really look like. Kisame chuckled at Sasori. You look more like a girl than Deidara does. Kakuzu noticed the missing member. Where is Deidara anyway? Dead, I'd assume, Sasori mused. Our plan to capture the Ikibi were thwarted by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I'd hazard a guess that the Nanabi Jinchuriki was there and killed Deidara. It would seem that we've lost another member, Pain solemnly said. Let us mourn for him in privacy once this meeting has concluded. The fox brat managed to destroy my favorite puppet and Hirako. Sasori began informing them of Naruto's techniques and skills. Agility, chakra control, and access to a Biju skill. He's becoming a pain to deal with. Send Kisame after him already. Leave the corpse in one piece so I can replace my cage with him. If it's bloodline bodies you need, I may know a few bounties that can tide you over until then. Kakuzu volunteered. The bodies are mostly intact after I take out their hearts, although I still need a lightning element one. Kakuzu and Sasori, Pain addressed them. You two will work together on bounty hunting and information gathering. You two are to stay away from the Nanabi and Kyuubi at all costs. You're in charge of our finances and information networks. Losing either of you would cripple us further. I'll have Zetsu work together with Tobi to find us 2 new recruits and possibly retrieve Deidara's body from Iwa if they've sent it for a burial. Itachi and Kisame, capture the Nibi from Kumo. If the 2 of them continue to be a threat, I shall personally capture them when the time comes. But I want a crack at him. Kisame whined. Come on. He uses fire. I use water. He uses chakra weapons. I have a sword that can eat chakra and massive reserves. Unless you can do those things, I have the best shot. Pain could do all those things, but why argue when Kisame is rationally explaining his point? As long as it leads to peace, it doesn't matter who does it. Fine, but only if you don't have a target at the time. We need him last and try not to kill him or we'll be waiting years for the Kyuubi to reform. He shot a glance at Sasori at that last comment. What? The puppeteer shrugged. So I may have gone a little into the overkill section. He lived and I didn't use my final performance. You and Kakuzu are going to get along fine. Kisame chuckled. Safe house in Land of Wind. OWWW. Fu whined while lying next to Naruto on a bed in her undergarments. Her fingers were wrapped around the amber necklace and charm he gave her. Naruto, it still hurts. Shumei warned you that you couldn't take in unrefined chakra with the side effect, Naruto told her while gently kissing her neck and cradling her. Remember, your seal isn't perfect and I still have a long way to go without running the risk of killing you mid-process. I told you, Fu girl, Shumei chimed in. The effects should fade later today. Oh. Just as Shumei said that, an alarm seal Naruto set up was triggered and alerted the pair. Intruders, Naruto said as he got out of bed. What do your bugs say? They say it's 4 people. She stretched her arms and a dragonfly landed on it. One smells like tomatoes, one has pink hair and smells like medicine, one has the scent of ink, and the last one has silver. Ah hell. Naruto slipped on a new orange long-sleeved shirt and black pants, followed by a hooded cloak similar to what his father wore, but black with orange flames licking the bottom. On the center of the back was an orange spiral inside 9 points that made it look like the sun combined, and around his waist was a belt with scrolls attached. They sent my old team and one other person. Why the belt? Fu dressed up in shorts and a sleeveless shirt over her chainmail undershirt. She strapped on her cylinder and a new set of forearm bracers from Suna. You have seals all over your body. Because I don't want them to figure that out too soon, and the clothing will probably hinder Kakashi since it'll remind him of my father. It's a tactical advantage, Naruto argued. Plus it looks cool. Point made. Fu agreed before she stumbled slightly and Naruto grabbed her. Fu, you aren't in the best condition right now, he warned her. Kakashi is not a joke. He's up there with Akatsuki members and preaches of teamwork, so they'll probably work together. Neither one of us can risk going into a tailed state right now without losing control. I'm a kunoichi and I won't leave you to fight your old team alone, she countered. Besides, I have a personal grudge against them from everything you've told me. I'm more worried about you losing your temper in the middle of battle and it clouds your judgment. That may be a risk, but I don't plan on a fight to the death in my current condition. I can't use the temple since they have Sharingan and can see chakra, and that's too much to their advantage. Damnable eyes. Kurama roared. He still took being controlled personally. Even if I did kill some of them, I'm sure at least one of them will get away and Konoha will try to use that to get me labeled a threat and Granny Tsunade won't be able to overturn it. I don't like Konoha very much, but I don't want Hunter Nin after me right now while we have to deal with Akatsuki. Naruto sighed and bit down on his thumb. We simply need to last long enough to get away clean. He rubbed the blood over his summoning seal. We are going to get shit for this if Gaara find out we're going after Naruto, Sasuke warned Kakashi. I know, he sighed. Legally, he didn't say he was sheltering Naruto and we'll assume that he's not a citizen of Suna. It's kidnapping. Get over it, duck ass, Sai chided Sasuke. We're ninja. We're trained weapons to be used for whoever orders us and pays our leader. We kidnap, kill, whatever we're asked. Just because the current and previous Hokage have been lenient on such requests does not mean it doesn't happen. That doesn't mean I like it, and my hair does not look like a duck's ass. Sasuke smacked Sai upside the head. Sakura silently growled. Sasuke-kun, if you want to, then think of it like the time he went to retrieve you and return the favor. That was different and we all know it, he argued. He was banished and had the freedom to leave as long as he didn't become a threat to the village. I tried to defect to a very sick missing nin who assassinated Naruto's grandfather figure and wanted me for my eyes. The conversation was cut off as a tower of sand exploded outward with a pillar of white smoke rising up. From it emerged a 20-foot ferret that sat with its legs and arms crossed while smoking a cigar and carried an axe on its back. Standing on top of its head was a very irritated Naruto who tapped his foot while glaring at the intruders with burning anger. Fu was right behind him. Sensei. No, Naruto. Kakashi looked up in awe at the resemblance before giving him an eye smile. Yo. Good to see you, Naruto. Kakashi-sensei. And I use the term, sensei, loosely. Naruto looked down on him. May I ask why you are trespassing? Okay. I admit I probably deserve that, the copycat thought. We were sent to inform you about a group hunting Jinchuriki down and escort you back, he noticed the girl standing there matched the one from the reports. I take it you know already. Naruto nodded. Yeah, we've already taken care of two of them, but unfortunately the smart ones keep getting away. Yeah, gotta hate it when that happens. Kakashi nodded in sympathy before sighing at the death glare Fu was giving him. Nice clothes, by the way. I think so. I like the way resemble my father's, Naruto stated simply. How did? Kakashi was about to ask, when Naruto cut him off. The fox and I are on speaking terms and I'm not such an idiot that I couldn't see the resemblance. Neither were you, given you knew my mother and how close they were. Naruto. Sasuke made himself known. The Hokage wants you back in the village. She didn't add those clauses to your banishment, it was a civilian council member who got too full of himself and was put down. She was drunk, she made a mistake, but it didn't matter once she put her seal on those papers, Naruto said as he looked at Sakura. Judging by the killing intent that my former teammate is sending me, I can only imagine what the others would think of me now that the fox is out of the bag, so to speak. Sasuke glared at Sakura, but still spoke to him. I know you don't want to return, but I told Hokage-sama and the old pervert I'd bring you back. We won't let anyone harass you, old friends included. Not all of them are against you and I know I'm the last person you would want to see but. Despite the fact that you used my chest as target practice during our last encounter and tried to kill me, I don't hate you Sasuke. At least you can see past the fox, which puts you ahead of 99% of the village. I can let a lot of things slide but not when comes to labeling me as the fox or trying to hurt me and my loved one because of it. That being said, Genin probably shouldn't be taught assassination techniques ever again. In my defense, I was under his damn clan's power, Kurama snorted. I loathe the fact that Madara enslaving me led to my first imprisonment, but you humans started it when my first cantainer's husband decided to start handing out my siblings and I like slaves. Why the hell do you think my chakra is so tainted when I'm not even trying to take you over anymore? Hatred thrives like a parasite on the ignorant and unclean masses. Hell, you could give me a run in the hatred department right now. As for the bastards in the village, even if you did drag me in, the moment one of them steps out of line I will defend myself. They attack, I fight back. They try to kill me and I will kill them without a second thought. My days as everyone's stress reliever are over. I will not walk into a lion's den willingly unless I felt it was worth being torn apart. Kakashi sighed. We're not gonna be able to reason with you into returning to the village, are we? Hell no, he responded. Before Pinky came along, I hadn't received so much killing intent directed towards me from anyone but Akatsuki and a couple of missing nin who made threats they couldn't back up. I've had freedom these last few years, and for that I'll thank Granny, but I will not go back to a village that would sooner see me killed for circumstances beyond my control or only see me as a weapon. We've got our orders, Les. Sai cut in, prompting Naruto to glare at him. We will return you by force if necessary. Naruto glared at him before shooting a glance at Kakashi. My replacement. The copycat nodded, before revealing his Sharingan and preparing for battle. Naruto, I'd rather not force you, but we have to bring you back, he glanced at Fu. We'll have to bring her along as well given she's one of their targets. You think I'd let you take her back? Naruto's pupils became slits. To a village that would sooner rip out her demon, kill her, and stomp on her corpse. If you're going to resist then I'll simply break every single bone in your body and drag you back in chains. Sakura blunted stated. And since I'm getting on everyone else, let me ask this, what the hell did I ever do to you? I all but killed myself for you. You hurt your teammate and dragged him back to the village injured. He tried to defect to someone who was going to steal his body and I had to bring him back by force. I kept my promise at the cost of getting run through by an assassination technique and pile drove into solid rock from the top of a waterfall, after being set on fire. What the did you think was going to happen when two genin have access to A-rank techniques? Your book's smart and rational. You should have known this. Naruto looked closely at her before grinning. Unless you weren't being rational, you're still a fangirl, aren't you? This is because he won't return your feelings, so you vent on me like before, isn't it? All the men present looked at her with a side glance. He wasn't wrong. When are you going to get it in your head that he just doesn't like you? Naruto pointed out. All you do is kiss his, can't you tell that merely pisses him off further? Why the hell do you think we got along better with each other than with you? I don't think I was called out here for an emo drama, the summoned warrior said. In fact, you're pushing it by having me and brother away from home at the same time. Pops still wants to talk to you anyway. I'll speak with the ferret boss after this has been taken care of. Naruto answered. If he screwed up and lost the contract, Kana would kill him. Fu, can you deal with Sakura and the new guy? Bring it. Sakura snapped her gloves. Let's see what the demon-loving whore can do. Was the sound of Naruto's patience breaking. The time for talk is over. Naruto snarled before taking a deep breath and calming down to address the warrior ferret with respect. Oh no. I have given them the chance to flee and they have refused. I take it you won't have a problem with assisting me. As long as I never have to go through this again and you fork over that bag full of treats. Pace was going on about. Honestly, what are you guys, 12? Summoning. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and slammed his hands on the sand, and a ceiling array etched itself on the surface. A tower of smoke rose and then scattered with the force of great beating winds. A giant hawk scattered its brown plumes across the desert sky. Does everyone have summoning contracts now? Naruto rubbed his forehead. I'll have to do something about that before we can escape. Oh ho ho. The hawk summon chimed. Am I to fight the eldest child of the ferret boss? Are you sure you wish to fight me, little ferret? You are aware that hawks devour your kind. A smirk etched its way across the large ferret's face and it took the axe off its back. Kid, he addressed his summoner. Screw the treats. I'm having hawk meat. Sasuke and I will face Naruto. Kakashi drew a kunai. Sakura and Sai, you'll capture his companion. Be aware she is also a Jinchuriki and take appropriate measures, but avoid any long-term damage or lethal techniques. So she's actually a demon whore. Sakura muttered. The villagers are going to love this. What next? They'll have demon spawn. Even I found that in bad taste, Sai said coldly. Kill? Naruto muttered darkly before Fu held him in her arms. No, Naruto, she looked him in the eyes. Don't give in to the hatred. You said we can't risk going into cloaked states and you're pushing it by getting mad. I'll take care of the bitch, you stick with the plan. He nodded. Fu spread her wings and glided away with Sakura and Sai in tow. Naruto put on his bracers and fingerless gloves, pulled out his seal rod, and created his Uzushio chakra blade once again before he leapt towards the pair rushing at him. The warrior ferret and assault hawk gave out fierce battle cries. The battle had begun among the desert sands. Right now, open another tab in your browser and go to YouTube and read the battle portions of the story while listening to 1000-Foot Crutch. E for extinction or red, overtake will thank me. With Naruto, Sasuke started the battle off. He threw shuriken laced with lightning chakra. They flew in a bluish-white arc towards the Jinchuriki and left a trail in the air. Wind infusion. The chakra blade was outlined in white wind chakra. Naruto swung the blade horizontally and released a white crescent slash of wind chakra. Destruction strike. The arc smashed the shuriken to pieces and forced the Sharingan users to dodge. Sasuke slid underneath it, while Kakashi leapt above and pulled out several kunai that he threw at Naruto. Naruto held his bracer in front of him. He put his chakra into the seals on it. A round shield of chakra emerged and the kunai bounced off. He watched as Kakashi made a hand seal. Earth style. Earth flow river. A stream of mud appeared next to the copycat and he formed another set of seals. Earth style. Earth dragon. The mud took the shape of a dragon's head and opened its mouth to fire globs of mud at Naruto while Kakashi followed up. Fire style. Fire dragon bomb. Kakashi somehow spit flames out from the front of his mask, without getting it burned. The secret is that he buys masks made from special silk woven by the Aburame clan that allows chakra through because of the fibers. The flames were merged with the projectiles and became flaming comets that darted towards Naruto. Naruto slid forward as the same comets went overhead and landed behind him, burning the sand black and smoldering. He crafted the Rasengan and threw it into the air, revealing the chain attached to it. Rasengan flail. It aimed for the dragon and copycat next to it. Naruto channeled even more chakra into the chain to flow into the Rasengan. It increased its size to roughly half his height. Smash it! Kakashi somersaulted away as it came down on the dragon. It spiraled into the mud and sand and threw up a wave of the two substances combined. Kakashi covered his eyes to avoid getting blinded by the backlash. Naruto then focused on his other opponent. He had to work to keep track of them both so he didn't get caught off guard. Sasuke was preparing his own assault. Chidori. Sasuke's hand was coated in lighting and he waved it in an arc. Dozens of lightning needles darted towards Naruto. Senbon. Gale. Naruto coated his free hand in wind chakra and did the same. Numerous wind chakra Senbon shot forward. Needles. Thin bits of lighting and wind clashed in the middle of the battlefield and those they impacted wiped each other out while the two avoided those they missed. Naruto glanced over to the Junin, to see a giant sand man rushing to capture the Jinchuriki. Earth style. Sand golem. Kakashi said. Since when can you do that? Naruto asked while not breaking off his charge. Copied over 1000 jutsu, remember? Kakashi chided his former student. I've fought against Iwa and Suna ninja who've used the rock and sand versions respectively. Oh yeah, Naruto poured chakra into his feet and shot into the air with a boosted jump. Upon reaching the summit, began to spin while channeling wind chakra into his leg as he fell. Hardliner. The golem raised its forearm to block the impact with its hardened and compressed body. The moment the leg came into contact with it, the entire thing burst as his leg tore through it. Revolving cut. Fire style. Great fireball. Naruto looked over to see a fireball the size of a small house being crafted. It was literally turning the sand around Sasuke molten. Sasuke put a little force into it and it flew at him. Fire style. Phoenix flower. He saw the tiny fireballs from Kakashi who was running at him from the side. The projectiles were arcing around and curving to attack him from behind using the sides near ground level. The only escape was to jump. You can only dodge up and then I'll use the demon wind shuriken and wires to bind you. It's overthought, until he saw Naruto fire a destruction strike eat him and snuffed out the only tiny flames that would make a direct hit before planting his blade in the sand and focusing on the bigger fireball. Damn, he won't be able to get out range of the attack. Kakashi yelled as he avoided the strike. Shit. Sasuke swore. They expected him to dodge. Once the fireball hit, it would swallow him before it erupted and left not even bones. Look out. Uzumaki custom. Fire seal. Naruto pulled a scroll from his belt and unwrapped it before he held it in front of the flames and poured in chakra. The scroll had the mark of the fire kanji around a complicated array and drank the flames into the seal made of ink until the last drop before it rolled itself up. Sasuke looked on in shock at a distance while Kakashi recovered and tried to rush in and get up close and personal. Naruto reached for another scroll on his belt and switched his target to his former sensei. He tossed the new scroll and the currently full scroll into the air and summoned a chakra chain barrier around himself. The first spat out a plume of flammable powder that poured out over the area, and then the fire seal scroll unleashed its content. God, I love jutsu sealing scrolls, Naruto muttered, as an explosion engulfed the area. A sea of roaring flames overtook the sand and rose into a fiery mushroom cloud that belched smoke into sky. As the flames settled, Naruto couldn't make out Kakashi among the scorched sand. Earth style. Double suicide decapitation. Kakashi's hands popped out of the ground at Naruto's feet and buried him up to his head while shattering his concentration on the barrier from shock. That barrier's weakness is that it can't defend you against attacks from below. You fought well. I'm working on that, Naruto only smirked. On similar note, do you remember that time you asked mom to show you how dad got used to using multiple Haraishans? Kakashi noticed the spike in the chakra and jumped back as far as he could. Chakra chains burst out of Naruto's body from every angle and knocked the sand from around him. Each one had a spear tip on the end and they rose like a tidal wave from the Jinchuriki's body as he stood. Kakashi looked on with nostalgic sigh as the chains all coiled and flew towards the copycat spear ends first, who proved how he was one of the fastest in Konoha with his eye active. He dodged with flexibility befitting a ninja of his caliber. He blocked what he couldn't dodge with the kunai in hand. At the end of the rain of chains, he stood unharmed as the sand spouts ceased. Ragged for air, but unharmed. Naruto clenched his teeth and the chains faded away since he stopped wasting chakra on them. The more chains he made from his body, the weaker they were since he had to divide up the chakra for it. He didn't expect to do any real damage, just get Kakashi to use up chakra on jutsu to defend himself or something. It was the fact that he avoided or blocked it with a regular kunai of all things that irritated him. Hell, his dad had to jump repeatedly using his personal technique to avoid getting speared. It made great practice for him and a stress reliever for his mom. Yeah, Kakashi huffed. You really do take after your mother. Naruto decided to focus attention back to the matter at hand and noticed that Sasuke was gone. There was a shadow growing on the ground, the crackling of lightning, and a small tap of foot against the sand. He rolled to the left and dodged a slash coming at him from the rear. Getting on his feet once again, he extended a chain from his hand back to his sword's rod and retrieved it before clashing with Sasuke while streaming wind chakra. The blades sung as the two clashed with streaming lightning and wind. They danced the dance of swordsmen until Naruto put a little space between them before he went into a rotating backside kick. Sasuke wasn't concerned at first. And then his eyes saw Naruto channeled wind chakra into it. Hardliner. Gale kick. Sasuke raised the flat of the Chikudo for defense. The wind chakra enhanced kick connected. He went skidding to the side before he recovered and flipped further back while Naruto focused on his other enemy. Naruto held the blade perpendicular to the ground and extended it towards the incoming copycat, who twisted into a crouch and threw a kunai that was blocked by Naruto's bracer. He then focused his attention to his former teammate. If I can hit, I can paralyze him. Sasuke aimed at Naruto's stomach to avoid anywhere else that might have been potentially fatal and launched a spear of lightning. Chidori. Sharp spear. Naruto dropped to his knee and held his right bracer in front. His wind chakra was siphoned into the seals on it. They formed a chakra shield infused with the element that was superior to lightning. It stopped the assault and Naruto batted it away before he stood and launched a spear-tipped chakra chain from his free hand's palm while infusing it with wind chakra as well, and Sasuke prepared to knock it away with his blade in one hand. Sasuke. Don't, Kakashi tried to warn him but it was too late. The moment the lightning streaming blade tried to cut through the wind chakra infused spear end that was heading toward it with a greater velocity, the blade was separated from his hand in a violent backlash from the force. You're mine. The chain coiled around his torso at the arms and Naruto pulled it with a strong jerk. The Uchiha flew towards him. Naruto's arm extended and caught him midair just below the neck. The maneuver clotheslined him while avoiding accidentally crushing his larynx. He spun around like a pinwheel before he face-planted while Naruto charged Kakashi. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Kakashi created 7 clones that rushed at Naruto while he pulled out a military ration pill to regain some of his chakra. Naruto's eyes flashed red. Using his own jutsu against him, Kakashi of all people, it was an insult he wouldn't let pass. Kakashi. His blade reformed into the monk's spade. Naruto performed one of the routines he went through and the crescent blade and spade danced a waltz of death. The clones were swiped out of existence by the translucent chakra blades. Naruto swung again and the crescent blade detached from the body, attached to the chakra chain. I do believe I pissed him off, Kakashi muttered to himself as he ducked to avoid the chain blade and flipped backwards to avoid the horizontal strike as Naruto closed the distance. He was pushed back further when Naruto spun and extended the crescent blade with a chakra chain once again, sweeping the area. Naruto's assault stopped when he felt several sharp pangs. Ashidori Senbon littered his back. He fell to his knees as the electricity in his body began to hinder his nerves. He barely managed to look back at his former teammate. You let your anger affect your judgment, Sasuke huffed from his firing position after retrieving his sword. He rushed at Naruto from behind and Kakashi did so from the front. Naruto roared and flooded his system with wind chakra, pushing out the invading chakra and gathering it into his free fist. That fist of his glowed with an awesome power. It told him to defeat them. He slammed it into the ground and discharged it into the ground. Hardliner. Gale Crusher. The discharged wind chakra howled as it tore through the sand. The sand beneath him expanded like a balloon before it exploded out and sent all three of them flying from being near the epicenter of the blow. They all landed on their feet, a good distance from each other. Naruto allowed his rage to subside before it could cost him in this battle again. Wiping the blood from his mouth from being at the dead center of his own attack, he broke off into a sprint at his opponents while shifting his weapon back into a blade and activating the bracer on his free hand to form a shield. With Fu, Naruto, Fu muttered at hearing his screams at his former sensei before turning back to her own problem. Sai soared after her on a larger ink bird while Sakura pelted her from below with explosive tagged kunai. Smaller ink birds carrying explosive notes flew towards Fu and detonated when they got too close in an attempt to force her to land from the shockwave of the explosions. Fu was mildly annoyed. Again with explosives. Fu yelled, I just dealt with a blast element user a few days ago. Okay. Fairly annoyed. Fu ascended until she was with her back to the sun while Sai followed and was blinded by the glare. Fu made a certain set of seal while splitting her attention on gather chakra into her lungs. She faced Sai below and smirked. Hidden art. Hiding in scale powder. She exhaled the powder and a blinding light took away their sight. The wind eventually blew and the powder was blown away, to reveal dozens of Fu's multi-shadow clone jutsu. Sai reined his ride and flew off as a good portion of the Fu clones chased after him. Pulling out his brush and infusing it with chakra, he performed his super beast imitation drawing and drew up several more ink birds with sharp beaks and had them dart at the clones. On impact with clones, both were dispelled. Cha! Sakura charged at the incoming clones. Right hook. Back spin kick. Upwards kick. She struck each clones as they came at her from the front. The clones split apart at the realization and took a different pattern. They summoned the water-slicing blade and closed in on her from all angles. Sakura pulled out several kunai with explosive tags and tossed them all around her as she jumped. The tags exploded as her foot met one of the airborne clones and kicked off it. She threw a kunai at one to her left while stepping on another to go higher while dispelling them. Using the airborne clones as stepping stone in the sky, she threw kunai at the ones out of her range until there were no more after her and she began to fall out the sky. Need a lift. Sai swooped in on his ride and she landed on it. He took charge and began to pursue the original Fu again, who looked over her shoulder and smirked, before vanishing in a puff of smoke. Behind us. Sakura yelled as the original came forward with far more speed and two water-slicing blades in hand. Sakura tried to use explosive kunai along with Sai's suicide diver birds but Fu literally cut through them and darted past them with extra chakra in her wings before the explosions went off. Sai grabbed Sakura and abandoned his ride as Fu's blades drew a blue arc in the desert sky and cut through it. Sakura threw down an explosive tagged kunai at the sand and it ruptured. It threw up enough sand to smother the flames and give them some cushioning. They landed on their feet a bit shaken but fine otherwise. Fu began to dive towards them, but the world inverted. Fu found herself heading to the ground head first out of control. Before she impacted she flipped upright and flapped her wings before gently landing and withdrawing them. Fu girl, be careful. You still haven't recovered from the chakra poisoning and if you try to fly on your own, Shumei's warning was interrupted as Sai charged in with his tanto and clashed with her. Fu blocked with one blade and tried to thrust the other, but the pale boy rotated and avoided it while shooting her a side kick. Fu was pushed back and slid on her feet. She noticed a shadow on the ground and leapt back as Sakura came in from above and smashed the ground with her fist, throwing up a tower of sand in the process. It doesn't seem like she can continue to fly. In that case, I can capture, thought to himself before he dumped all his chakra-laced ink onto the sand. Ink flush. Strings of ink swelled and squirmed to her as she backed away. They entrapped her and wriggled over her caramel skin. She yelped as they hoisted her off the ground while Sakura and Sai rushed in. Ew. Fu lurched at the feel of ink on her skin and created another 2 shadow clones that cut her free. One clone avoided Sai's tanto only to meet Sakura's fist, while the other and original found themselves with their backs against the wall of compound they were staying at with the ink abominations reformed and closing in. They shot each other a glance and started making hand seals. Water style. Water trumpet. Lightning style. Wave of inspiration. Fu and her shadow clone called as they unleashed a combination jutsu. Collaboration jutsu. Spout of thunder. The water and lightning instrument captured and evaporated the rampant ink. A kunai hit the clone and dispelled it as Sakura approached with her fist chambered. Sakura's fist missed as Fu dodge rolled, and went straight into the safe house. The wall cracked, then the entire building before it literally imploded and begun falling to pieces as Fu landed some distance away after a chakra burst jump. You are aware we need her alive, right? Sai deadpanned when Sakura landed next to him. With Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke. Oh, Gaara and Kana is going to be pissed, all 3 of them thought at the same time as they watched the building finish its collapse. Training with Granny. He asked Sasuke and the Uchiha nodded. Have fun explaining the building to her. Gaara and Kana liked that one. Naruto nailed Sasuke with a sharp gale kick into the defensively held Chikudo. It cracked the blade and sent the Sharingan user skidding while he jumped back. Fu, we're leaving now. Plan B. Naruto unraveled 2 new sealing scrolls from his belt. It rained a downpour of concussive-based explosive tagged kunai towards the 2 Sharingan users. They covered their eyes from all the sand being thrown up. The sand, he's trying to blind us while he gets away. Sasuke said, only to be surprised when he heard a voice from right behind him. True, but first I need to deal with your summons. Naruto was standing back to back with Sasuke. Sasuke swung the blade backwards as Naruto ducked and spun, one arm thrusting forward while the other held the chakra blade. The chakra blade finished snapping the Chikudo in half while Naruto's hand unleashed a palm strike to his abdomen. On impact, a sealing array etched itself on Sasuke's body as he was knocked backwards. Triple contract seal. A loud pop was heard as the hawk summoning vanished in poof smoke. Damn, Ono swore. His body was covered in bleeding gashes, but he was grinning with the cigar in his mouth still lit despite the barrage of winds he endured. Next time we settle this hawk. The ferret summoning vanished afterwards. Naruto. Fu called from on top of a giant black and white striped desert beetle that had taken to the air. Naruto shot a chakra chain from his hand and it was caught by the beetle's mandibles as they took to the skies. Go, Nebi-sama, she told her beetle summons. As you wish, it responded as Naruto climbed on top of its head. Naruto, Fu leaned against him. I know you don't like to carry typical ninja weapons and I didn't see you pick any up in the store when we went shopping. So how did you get all those weapons and tags? I made the tags and scrolls since I only wanted concussive damage instead of heat damage from the explosives, he told her while rubbing the back of his head. Before we left Suna, I may have borrowed some weapons and the flammable powder from Konkuro's room since I figured his puppets would have a ton of stuff like that. I left him about 1,000,000 ryo as compensation and a note even though I didn't take nearly that much. I don't like to steal anymore unless I have to like in my childhood, but we were pressed for time. I love you Naruto, but were you really a monk? Not all monks are saints. Naruto argued. The 8-wind spades had discipline and control, but that was while on the job. Off the clock. Well, I'm sure Kankuro won't mind seeing as you did need them. Fu pat him on the back. With Kankuro sat on his bed counting the money left behind after reading the note in place of his missing weapons. He licked his lips as his fingers nimbly took count of the currency. When he finished, he smiled. Naruto should rob me more often. He giddily exclaimed. I can afford everything he took. A new puppet with the works, more war paint, and all I can drink at the watering hole next to Gaara's office. With Kakashi, we need to go after them. Kakashi looked at the fleeing pair. Can either of you summon or draw? I'm out of ink, the pale teen responded. I can't summon, Sasuke said. This seal he put on me, besides, I used a lot of chakra in our fight. The only reason you haven't dropped is because you ate that pill, and I need a new sword. It can't be helped, Kakashi sighed, before making another shadow clone and summoning his faithful nin dog. What do you need, Kaka? The nin dog picked up an old scent. Naruto. Yep. Kakashi went over the battle before asking him to chase after Naruto's scent with his shadow clone. Pakun nodded before he started sniffing again. Pakun, what's wrong? There's 2 ferret scents as well. Pakun told his summoner. One is gone, long gone from the house, or what remains of it, while the other is mostly centered around here, probably the one that fought. Kakashi thought about it for a few moments and summoned another hound and sent it after the second scent. Pakun and the clone then took off in the direction of the beetle. The original looked at his team. Kakashi, what now? Sasuke asked. You do realize Naruto is more than likely going to maim your clone unless it's a lightning one. The clone will go with Pakun and track those 2 and try to reason with them one last time before they get too far away, Kakashi told Sasuke. The second nin dog will track the second scent since I don't think either one of them was fighting too hard. Naruto didn't even attempt to kill one of us, at least until I used his old jutsu, he took that personally. Then should we wait for his response? Sai asked. The rest of us will head back to Konoha, and avoid Suna, he mentioned offhand as he looked at what remained the building. I'd suggest we get out of the land of wind very fast or Gaara will come after us and I'm not fighting him in a desert. Ugly should really learn some self-control, Sai muttered. He woke up on Kakashi's back several hours later nursing a headache. With the Kakashi clone, my apologies, the summoning addressed Fu. I cannot maintain flight any further. And he's still chasing us. Fu looked at the ground to see Kakashi's clone and Pakun chasing them. The dog is cute though. This is fine, Naruto told her. Race should be there by now and it's only a single shadow clone. Let the summoning rest, and don't call Pakun cute. He doesn't like it. Alright, she nodded. Nebi-sama, please lower us and return home. I only wish I could aid you further, the summoning said as it landed and then vanished in a plume of smoke. Naruto pulled out his seal rod and crafted the blade. Now, Naruto, the clone said. I know I can't beat you as a clone and I didn't mean to insult you by using your old jutsu. I only wanted to talk about you two about returning, you've learned a lot over these 4 years. No thanks to you. Everything I've learned had to come from my time away from Konoha or the Kyuubi's memories. You can't trust the Q. Shut up, Kakashi. Naruto snarled. The fox has been more honest than most of the people in my life. Did you know that the fox has been sealed in the Uzumaki starting with Granny's grandmother, Mito Uzumaki? That my mother was the second container. That she was attacked as she was giving birth to me and that led to the fox being unleashed. Pakun and the clone stayed silent. This was information that they could tell would be valuable and it would be better to let him vent his frustrations. Shizuka Ne taught me after I beat her because of that stupid promise pervy sage made to that Nadeshiko Kunoichi. The monks and samurai taught me shape manipulation and chakra control. I learned my clan's techniques to an extent with great Auntie Mito and Mom's memories. Jiraiya at least taught me the Rasengan, even if he was a horrible godfather for not checking in on me more often. But you only taught me the ing tree climbing skill, and you barely taught Sakura a damn thing before I left. Naruto snarled. You doted on Sasuke and ignored the 2 of us. You condemned both of us to die. We only survived because of the fox and luck. I was hoping to appease Sasuke and slowly teach him the benefits of teamwork so that he didn't fall prey to temptation, the clone sighed. He also reminded me of a younger me. I made a mistake and I've been trying to amend it ever since then. Too late. You knew my father's technique and could have taught me, or you could have told me the secrets of using shadow clones like you are now before they had already taken my jutsu from me, and then you of all people flaunt it in my face. You could have directed Sakura to Kurenai-san so she learned to actually be useful in a fight and I didn't have to keep protecting her. You could have done a hell of a lot more as a sensei. Naruto. The clone tried to reason, but Naruto was too far gone. You knew what I felt like as an orphan, wanting to know who my parents were or to know they cared about me. Tormented by those damn villagers day in and day out with no comfort but a monthly visit from the old man, Iruka, and a few others out of village of thousands. Only to find out whom my father and mother were. To find out that Granny is actually a distant relative of the Uzumaki and me. That Jiraiya is my godfather. That's a whole lot of anger the kid has, Pakun thought. To find out how the village spat on my father's dying wish. Naruto's fox features became more defined. How dare you even think of trying to bring me Fu back to that hell hole? Naruto, that's enough. Fu wrapped her arms around him in hopes of calming himself down. You're letting the hatred take hold of you. Now, Kit, Kurama chimed in. I'm all for giving in to the hatred and everything, but it serves no benefit now and will only shorten your moderately higher than normal lifespan, on a shadow clone. At least go for the original. Naruto growled as his features began to recede. Make no mistake, Kakashi, I want nothing to do with the village. The few who were kind to me have my eternal gratitude for keeping sane all this time, and the only reason I'm telling you this is because Granny deserves to know about her grandmother and you at least did your job every now and then, but if you ever flaunt the fact that you hindered my growth with the shadow clones, all. Naruto was cut off in mid-sentence when he and Fu vanished in a flash of orange light. Wasn't that? Pakun trailed off. It looked like his father's technique all right. The clone closed his eyes and shed a tear. You know you'll have to tell Tsunade about what he said, right? I'll tell her and Jiraiya-sama in private about his family. He won't forgive the village, the clone sighed. Nope. Pakun stated coldly. Land of Iron. Fu and Naruto landed in the snow bank. As they wiped themselves off and Naruto put away his blade, they noticed a ferret in the snow with an orange bandana and goggles over its eyes. It took longer than I liked, but I got here, the ferret said. Though I must say, I did not like going from a comfy room in a marvelous paradise in the desert, to a frozen nation. Sorry, but thanks for the drop-off race. Naruto gave him 2 bags of treats. You really are the fastest of the group. One of those bags is for Ono, share the rest with your siblings, and tell the ferret boss I'll be in touch soon. No problem, the ferret took the bags. Dad just wants to talk about the toad boss. They go way back before an incident involving a white-haired pervert and the previous contract owner for his ferrets. Pervy sage, just what did you do during your travels? Naruto wondered as the summoning vanished, before he saw Fu shivering. Naruto summoned a fur-long coat from inside one of his body seals and draped it around her. His warmth flooded her body and she pulled him in close for a kiss. Sorry about before, Naruto told her after coming up for air. It's just the thought of you in the village, going through the crap I went through, after I learned everything. It's good to vent, Naruto, but don't lose control. Fu tightened her grasp. Remember what Mito told your mother. Love balances the hatred. If you lost yourself, if I lost you. I won't, he trailed off. I'll stay by you and Kana, no matter what. So, she spread her arms out to the winter land of snow. What do we do now? Konoha can't move on us here, but I have no intention of staying forever, Naruto told her. I want to see one of my sensei here to improve my skills, maybe learn to shape chakra shuriken, add the wind element to the Rasengan, apply an explosive seal on contact, second element, etc., Plus, I haven't been kicked out of all their casinos yet for winning too much. Fu sighed. At least wait until we're about to leave before you get us ran out. Naruto chuckled, before slamming his fist into his palm. I need to send a message to Gaara and Kana about what happened. Naruto pulled out the contact scroll. Can you send one to Shibuki and tell him I'm okay? Sure. With Gaara and Kana. To think that Naruto gave us this much money to build his clan's village back up in secrecy, Kana said in Gaara's office, accompanied by both of his siblings. I should go visit him and Fu later today. How much? Tamari looked at all the zeros in log. Holy Father of Ninjutsu. How did he get that much? Kana answered. The goddess of gambling loves him. Yet anytime something can go wrong with him it does, Gaara pointed out. Look at his mission history. Kana and Gaara's contact scrolls changed color to indicate they received a new message. Kana looked at her contact scroll. Well, there goes my plans for today. Now I have to work around my schedule to go to the land of iron. Matsuri is not going to be happy, Gaara read over his scroll. She liked that place. I'll need to write to Naruto about the contractors and the estimated time for the project to be carried out without drawing attention. Also, he says he's sorry about robbing you Kankuro, but apparently it came in handy. When you write back to Naruto, tell him I said he's free to rob me whenever he wants if he's gonna compensate me like this. Kankuro held his new puppet dearly as he exited the room. Tamari looked confused. Do I? He had a bad date not too long ago involving his war paint, alcohol, and some words I'd rather not repeat but had Shukaku in a laughing fit. Gaara deadpanned. He's getting better. I'm gone for a few days and all hell breaks loose from S-class criminals to Kankuro's battle between love and war paint, so what did the short stack say on his message scroll? He's not short anymore, in any department, Kana started, but Gaara cut her off before it got into too much information territory. Apparently Kakashi found the safe house and the pink-haired, ex-teammate of his was studying under the current Hokage. Gaara covered his ears as a precaution and prompted Kana to do the same. You'll have to cancel those plans you had to take the Nara up there, and I'll have to cancel my plans to kill him afterwards. Temari's screams of anguish washed over all of Suna. In her defense, it was a very nice place. In Konoha, Shikamaru was playing a game of shugi with Asuma while Kurenai and their child watched on. He suddenly tensed and looked left and right. Something wrong? Asuma asked. I feel a disturbance, the Nara muttered. As if 1,000 shrieking Harunos were praying for mercy to an absent god, and then suddenly silenced by the slicing of wind. At the same time, I feel as though the shadow of death hanging over me has been lifted. Beyond troublesome. Kurenai looked at her husband. Wasn't Kakashi's student on a mission to Suna Hokage's office? Days later. The council meeting had just let out not too long ago. I can't believe they tried to get me label him a missing nin for just defending himself. Tsunade pushed open the door with a flick of her fingers. She must have been angry since it cracked the wall when it slammed into it. Though I am surprised he managed to fend 2 Sharingan users off, summon a warrior ferret, save both the Kazekage and the Taki Jinchuriki Fu from Akatsuki, and still managed to get away from all of you with a flying beetle. Judging from that look on Danzo's face, he'll probably try to find some method to gain control of both Fu and Naruto since neither one belongs to a village and both are pretty skilled. Jiraiya sat on the windowsill. Kakashi silently walked in after them and shut the door after Tsunade ordered Anbu out. All right Kakashi. Tsunade sat behind her desk and activated a privacy seal. I know you left out a lot of things at the council meeting, not that I blame you, but considering the very strongly formal worded letters I received from the Wind Daimyo and the Kazekage that essentially said, you, along with a repair bill, and a death threat to my apprentice, I feel obliged to some answers. Well, you essentially ordered a kidnapping of a person they went out of their way to unofficially protect, and it escalated to the point that your apprentice demolished a very, very nice piece of property they seized. Jiraiya bluntly stated. Did you not see those photos? I could get any woman I wanted if I took her there. Tsunade-sama, Shizune made herself known. It would have been better to try a gentler method of persuasion. I told Kakashi force was a last resort. Negotiating was never a choice. Not for me, Sakura, or Sai, Kakashi sighed. He was pretty considerate to Sasuke, all things going. He doesn't even hate him for the whole assassination technique to the chest thing. It was the rest of us he has a problem with. How bad? Tsunade asked while feeling the headache coming. Well, he was irritated that I hindered his growth by not telling him how to use clones in training, and Jiraiya-sama had made a promise to the predecessor of the Nadeshiko warrior who taught him some of those techniques. I can't believe that Kunoichi from Nadeshiko held me to that promise and made Naruto face her successor. Jiraiya scratched his head. I mean, really, that was years ago and he was my student technically. But considering some of the skills you mentioned he used against you, it makes sense. Now that I think about, what were you doing at that village in the first place? Tsunade glared at the pervert. That was only the tip of the iceberg. Naruto knows about his heritage, and to say he was pissed would be an understatement. Kakashi sighed. He knew I was his father's student, his mother's identity. Jiraiya was apparently his godparent, and Tsunade-sama is a distant relative. How? Jiraiya looked in shock. The fox told him. Apparently Kushina was the previous host of the Kyuubi, and Tsunade-sama's grandmother, Mito Uzumaki, was the one before her. Through sharing their memories, he managed to recreate Kushina's chakra chains and Sensei's flying thunder god technique to an extent. My hound tracked a ferret scent to the land of iron days after it first appeared, with Naruto and Fu's scent and no trail beforehand. Kakashi then went on about Naruto's rant and his birth. Shizune dropped her clipboard. Jiraiya nearly fell out the window. Tsunade's jaw dropped at the revelations. Up. Jiraiya summed everything up. If Naruto knows all that, then he has every reason to not want to come back. He even knows what happened on the day of the attack when none of us do. If you had told the council that, they would have lost it. Shizune shook her head. He has too many ties to the village by blood alone to let him leave. He's literally a walking representation of Konoha's history. Jiraiya licked his lips and went into thought. We'll have to inform the next group we send after him about the techniques, but this does not bode well. Either way, iron is off limits for the moment, given how fast the fighting will escalate and the samurai, so we'll have to wait for them to move again. What are the chances that we can convince him to return somehow using his girlfriend? Tsunade rubbed her forehead. What if we offered asylum to Fu, since she's technically one of Akatsuki's targets and he's obviously attached to her? Well, the chances might have been higher if Sakura didn't call his apparent girlfriend a demon whore, tell him she was going to drag him back in chains, and try to kill her rather than capture, according to Sai's report. Tsunade broke the desk in half at that declaration, and Gaara probably has already done so unofficially anyway. Damn it, Sakura. Tsunade sighed and had Shizune leave to get another desk. What if we try to convince the Sand Brat or his council that it'd be safer here for them? Not likely, Jiraiya added in. According to the reports, they helped him against Akatsuki and they like him. Not to mention the Wind Daimyo likes him too, and he was in service to her, in more ways than one. Both of them have been released from their villages, so we can't legally argue for them. So basically we have to forcibly kidnap him back to his own village. Tsunade covered her eyes and pulled out a bottle of sake from the broken desk. They couldn't blame her at this point. To be frank, Kakashi looked down. He'll probably be happier outside the village with Fu. If we try to bring him back by force, he won't go easy on us again. He said he didn't hate Sasuke, but he's livid that neither I nor Jiraiya took care of him more when he was younger, and he flat out hates 99% of the population here, and the feeling is the same on the opposite side. I'll admit I screwed up and I'm trying to amend things, but it may be too late. And God help us if the girl gets dragged into this, Kakashi added. Naruto nearly went into a cloaked state at the mention of bringing her back here. I think he can understand that she's a kunoichi and may get hurt in the line of duty, but when it comes to how Jinchuriki are treated in Konoha, let's just say that getting blasted by Itachi's Tsukiyomi was more merciful. Princess, I know how you feel, but Kakashi has a damn good point, and I know it's selfish, Jiraiya. Tsunade slammed the bottle on the broken desk and shattered it. I want him back since he was like a little brother to me. No, he's actually related to me, and if it were up to me, I'd let him be happy elsewhere as long as he stayed in touch like I did. But how long until things escalate even higher? When, not if, but when other villages find out there are two Jinchuriki, two of the strongest by tales I might add, wandering around, they will come after him if Akatsuki doesn't, just to make up their lost strength, and hell will break loose to the extent it might start another war. He's gotten skilled, but how long until they all gang up on him or whoever is bossing around these cage-level ninja in Akatsuki jumps into the fray? Naruto, Gaara, and Fu won't see it that way. Kakashi ran his fingers through his hair. Gaara basically called us out on not informing them or any other village about Akatsuki in the first place, and it nearly had his village destroyed. He pointed out how we only cared about protecting Naruto as a village weapon while the other Jinchuriki would be rounded up. I never said he was a we. You don't, but the Elder Council does, Jiraiya interrupted. Let's face it, Jinchuriki get the short end of the stick, and Gaara is right about that. But from the position of a military leader, having someone else steal your rival's ultimate weapon is a blessing as long as they don't turn it on you. Tsunade sighed and went deep into thought. Her breath grew shallow. Headache did not even come close to this. It almost seemed like she had fell asleep until her eyes snapped open and she made her decision. Jiraiya, work with Kakashi and list everything we know about Akatsuki in a file to be sent to all the other cages, before we send a team to go get Naruto. Tsunade declared. The sand brat was right, and I'm sure the elders and Danzo probably won't complain since it would keep Konoha safe in the long run. They do many horrible things, but they care about the village. And the next retrieval team? Kakashi asked. They are going to be breathing down my neck if I don't go all out. Former Team 7, 8, 10, Team Guy, as well as their Junin sensei, but replace Kurenai with Yamato, and Jiraiya will personally go after Naruto once the time is right, add Iruka and Shizune as well since they might be able to reason with him. Just in case things truly go snafu, I'll have the 4th's personal guard on hand to use Flying Thunder God to transport me there as well. Overkill much, Princess? Jiraiya asked rhetorically. I wouldn't go this far normally, but Kakashi said he nearly entered a cloaked state on the mention of returning them here, and given we will have to force them both back, I have to deal with the very real possibility that he may completely snap and go full-blown Biju. Yamato can help repress the chakra if Kakashi can slip the necklace on him and you conceal it. All of that combined can hopefully restrain them and bring them back. She pointed to Kakashi. Go and inform those who will be involved. We don't know when we'll run across Naruto again, but the moment we get confirmation we are going full force. He left in a body flicker. And once he does get back, hellfire will rain, and we both know it, Jiraiya sighed. The elders and Danzo won't be stupid enough have his Biju transferred to another host, since at least Naruto can defend himself, but they'll need some method to enforce loyalty on him. A seal probably won't work, since I looked at the one that Naruto nailed his former teammate with before I removed it. It was like the one his mother taught Minato, and that space-time technique like his father's most likely uses seals too. He's probably a seal expert, if not master at this point. Tsunade bit her lip. You're probably right. Depending on the condition we bring Naruto and Fu in, Yamato will most likely have to have them bound and restrained in a hidden location. I'll be damned before I lock him up in a cell for defending himself, but I'll probably have to use the Senju complex as a form of house arrest and restrict the knowledge of his capture. And Gaara will be pissed off. He gently reminded her. And Spring, Moon, and Wave, and Taki's leader probably. The only reason they haven't cut off agreements and trade with us is because of politics. Jiraiya, I know, she sighed. But short of him willing walking through those gates, someone is going to get pissed off regardless. At least this way they can be pissed off and he can be safe rather than in Akatsuki's hands. If Sensei had enforced punishment against those who broke both the spirit and word of his law, if the people weren't so prejudiced, if you had checked on him more often, if I hadn't been drinking when I stamped those papers, and if Kakashi had taught him more, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. But that's just it. We can't correct the past. I may drink myself into the ground later for this, but at least the two of them will be alive long enough to hate me. That's the price I paid for taking the hat. I can't play favorites too often and keep everyone happy. Jiraiya walked up to her and rubbed her back. How about we go out tonight and drink so you can unwind? I'm not sleeping with you, Jiraiya, she said preemptively. I'm too damn depressed and I might lose control and break you in bed. I was talking about going out as old friends, he chuckled. But what a way to go. Elsewhere in Konoha, several hours later, the Konoha 11 had gathered and been informed about their pending mission by Kakashi and Naruto and Fu's techniques. Hinata left afterwards claiming to be tired, while Kakashi left to speak with the others participating, minus Neji. I was not aware there was a beetle summons. Shino said blankly. I believe I would be greatly interested in meeting this Fu. I wonder if Naruto could teach me how he made those tags and scrolls. Tenten mused. She had an interest in seals as well as weapons. That slashing technique was decent sounding too. Maybe I should go to Iron and learn from a samurai. You just had to piss off Tamari, didn't you, Sakura? Shikamaru addressed the kunoichi. Just to let you know, she's gunning for you now. Chill, Shika. Choji ate a few more chips. At least now Gaara won't kill you. Sakura, are you alright? Ino asked. You've been awfully quiet. When are you going to get it in your head that he just doesn't like you? Naruto's words echoed in her head. All you do is kiss his, can't you tell that merely pisses him off further? Sakura shook her head and chuckled at Ino to drive off the thoughts before addressing her crush. Sasuke-kun, would you like to go get dinner with me and Ino? Sasuke shook his head. Are you still thinking about what he said before the fight? He nodded. Sakura, not a damn thing Naruto said was wrong. I understand him better than you do and he has every reason to hate this village or try and burn it to the ground. Is he still under that genjutsu? Kiba asked, and Akamaru barked at him. I wasn't being rude. For the last time, I'm not under a ing genjutsu. Sasuke yelled. Lee looked at Sakura's depressed face before speaking. Sasuke-san, do not let the demon's words linger. If he was really a demon, then do you think he would have lasted 13 years here as Naruto Uzumaki? You're all so stupid it's not funny. Not one of you has a good reason to hate Naruto Uzumaki even if you have a reason to hate the fox. We're lucky he hasn't snapped after everything he's been through in this village. He had the old Hokage and both Sannin's favor, Kiba argued. How bad could he have had it? On his birthday when he was 6, a hand covered Sasuke's mouth. As much reason you have to be vocal about his defense, Neji spoke up from behind him. I'm pretty sure that information is classified and I am technically obligated to bring you in if you finish. Fine, Sasuke said once Neji removed his hand. But I'm going to call them out on all their stupid flaws right here and now. Feel free, Tenten, Shikamaru, Choji, Shino, and Neji all replied in perfect unison. He pointed to his teammate. Sakura, you are by far one of the worst of them all considering the sheer number of times Naruto has saved you only to get hit. You do know that he could have had you arrested on nearly 100 abuse charges by now. Hell, even Jiraiya gets better treatment from Tsunade. And you actively antagonized him and tried to turn his girlfriend into paste. The Inuzuka was next. Kiba, he beat you with a fart, while his chakra was mostly sealed by Orochimaru in the forest. If you're still angry that Hinata liked him over you, then you're thinking with the wrong head again. Even after years of stirring in hatred, she still sees you as little more than friends and that won't change since she's devoting her time to training. Followed by the green beast. Lee, he bought Tsunade back and got you healed. You owe him your entire career. As I'm sure Guy has told you repeatedly, quit going along with Sakura's blind hatred because you like her. He actually struggled to say these last words, unyouthful. Lee actually gasped in shock. Ino, You're as bad as Sakura because both of you are acting like fangirls instead of thinking. You two are responsible for both Lee's stupidity, and the fact that you keep trying to bully Choji into joining your Lynch Naruto group. Let me be clear, after all the shit I have listened come out of your mouths about how I was critically injured, after I actually tried to kill him, and led to Choji and Neji nearly dying for their parts in my retrieval, I am tempted to castrate myself just so no one tries to push me into a CRA or arranged marriage with you two. He turned to the Hyuga. Neji, when you see Hinata, tell her Naruto honestly didn't know she liked him. He's gone through a hell you can't imagine where the closest thing to love he had was a fangirl who constantly beat him. It's a miracle he's maintained a stable relationship with his current girlfriend, or even the fact that he's not a sociopath. I'll try, but she hasn't even been listening to me anymore. Neji shook his head. Let me be frank, the elders took great effort to color her using hatred, to the point I believe it is only the little kindness she has left that is preventing her from using the caged bird seal every time I bring it up. She nearly hospitalized her sister in a sparring match earlier today because of what her father told her about the council meeting and the other Jinchuriki. Unlike these fools who have truly ignorant reasons to hate Naruto on a shallow level, she may be too far gone to reason with. Neji shot a murderous glare at Ino and Sakura. The elders may have been wearing her down, but hearing from Naruto's crush about how bad he was and harping on about it put the final nail in the coffin. It doesn't help that you two taught her how to incorporate chakra scalpels into her fighting style either. I can only pray that she doesn't have a mission where she runs into either one of them alone or she will try to kill them at the cost of her own life. In that case you'd better hope she doesn't, Sasuke told him. I've been where she's going before and it screws you royally no matter what. If her only goal in life is now to kill Naruto, then once she does and if she's still alive, she'll be no better than a living puppet, not moving on her own strength but the whims of others. Sasuke gave Shino and Kiba a final glance before he walked out the door. If you truly care for her as teammates, you'll get her some help before she ends up going down the path I went. Shino nodded. With Kakashi. You're kidding, Iruka said with his mouth wide. He actually held you and Sasuke back, while not trying to kill you. Without the Kyuubi's chakra, Yamato asked for confirmation. He and the other adults of the capture group had been gathered by Kakashi. Until I inadvertently insulted him, yes, Kakashi admitted. He pushed back Sasori of the red sand from the info side picked up, and the unofficial reports on Akatsuki from Suna to all the villages also indicate that Sasori had up until then used the third cage as a puppet. The report also listed Hidan, who has some kind of immortality thing, sealed away even though they didn't say by who. You could hear a pin drop at that moment. Impressive. Yamato summed it up. Weren't his hands sealed so that he couldn't use ninjutsu? Asuma asked. Not all ninjutsu uses seals, Kakashi reminded him. Plus, he's beefed up his taijutsu, weapon use, and chakra control to a level that many of us would be hard-pressed to match. I may have him beat in ninjutsu, but he's got me in stamina. Guy might have him beat in taijutsu, but Naruto fights smart and would probably find some way to seal you the moment you touched him. Asuma, he infused wind chakra into a sword made of pure chakra and his body to face off against Sasuke's electric attacks. Are we really dealing with the same person who used to run around in an orange jumpsuit and spam clones like they were going out of style? Asuma wrapped up their thoughts. He's a bit darker, but same person, Kakashi confirmed. Not to mention his partner is also a Jinchuriki who took out another S-class criminal that stole a forbidden art and had the blast element. Also, she can fly. Truly. Guy gave his signature pose. Their flames of youth burn brighter than ever. The point is he was holding back in order to escape, not kill. Kakashi prepared to wrap the meeting up. The operation to bring him back is to be taken seriously, even with all of us, Jiraiya, and Shizune going. The group nodded and began to disperse before Kakashi walked over to Iruka. Kakashi, I'm not an idiot, Iruka told him. Simple power isn't why I was bought in. How bad is it that you need me to go after him? I can't give you all the details, but Naruto has a lot of rage issues when it comes to returning here, Kakashi flat out told Iruka in private. You are one of the few people who may get a pass and can reach him. Iruka closed his eyes and nodded. With Sasuke. Hey, Sasuke said as he entered a certain eatery. Ayame-chan, can you give me tomato ramen? Coming up, the brown-haired chef said from the kitchen. The tomato ramen was a creation that came about as of one of her trips out of town, and much like Naruto would swear by miso ramen, he would bow to the Ayame's creation. The Ichiraku family duo were on pretty good terms with Sasuke, along with his other old friends, since after learning everything Naruto went through he saw how they were his light in the darkness. After he got on his knees and apologized, they hit it off pretty well. Plus, Ayame didn't try to kiss Hiss all the time like fangirls. That's wife material right there. I heard you laying into your teammate from the street when I was passing by the building, what was all that about? Tuki asked. We ran into a certain blonde with whisker marks our last mission, he told him. Ayame dropped her ladle. I can't give you the details, but if you keep your ears open I'm sure one of the stupider clan members from the council will say something. Like those rumors that he was working under the Wind Daimyo. Ayame was cut off by Tuki before she could get into it. How is he? Tuki asked. Happy. Sasuke told them. He doesn't want to come back, he's afraid of having the same thing happen to the girl he's with and would probably kill himself trying to protect her. There are too many people against him and too much crap has happened for him to forgive the village as a whole. He's also gotten smarter and stronger. The two of them could only smile at those last words. With Hinata, the demon found himself a bride, the voice whispered inside her, never loved you or looked at you. Shut up, Hinata told the voice. He used you, he's tainted you in the eyes of everyone and left you to suffer, you've tainted the clan with your naivety. There's only one way to cleanse the taint, kill him with your own hands. Unbeknownst to Hinata, her father was leaned against the wall outside her room. He had arranged for Inoichi to give her an evaluation not too long ago, and for the first time he feared that he went too far. Apologizing on her mother's grave may not be enough anymore. The voice was a manifestation of the mental abuse she's accumulated, that he's allowed to go unheeded. Never-ending whispers in her mind that represent the words of the elders and the other villagers, including himself. She needed help, but for the Hyuga, appearances and traditions are everything. Just having Inoichi figuring out the problem was pushing it. Mental instability in the next heiress would upset the balance among the clan, but it was part of the drive that made her stronger. He walked away wondering if it truly was worth sacrificing his daughter for the clan by feeding her insecurities. In pain, a paper angel fluttered from below a tower in the infinitely reigning nation. The body has arrived. She placed a paper coffin in front of him and removed the sheets covering the face. Your contribution toward peace is appreciated, he told the corpse as lightning flashed and revealed who it belonged to before he performed a jutsu on it. It was the body of Yugito Ni, the former Jinchuriki of the Nibi. Said it with the others. Konan, Pain addressed his angel. She laid it with the other dead Jinchuriki bodies that Pain gathered and preserved using a jutsu. More notes. As you can tell, Naruto has a lot of anger hidden beneath the surface when it comes to Konoha. Since there are too many fanfics that go into details, such as a month as Naruto Uzumaki the Angel of Snapdragons, I'm not going to waste time by going into it. You guys can put 2 and 2 together or go by your own worst case scenarios. To be blunt, He dislikes Akatsuki as a whole, but he hates Konoha as a whole on the same level as Tobi, who is the cause of all his problems, and Orochimaru, who killed his grandfather figure. Those few friends that kept him sane were all that stopped him from burning it down. Tsunade has many justifications for wanting Naruto back. Not all of them are fair, or moral, but she has a legitimate reason, as if you have 2 walking masses of destruction around without belonging to a village, they are very high-profile targets and a war may start over them. Sakura. Yeah, I ramped up her fangirl attributes to her not facing up to her own responsibilities when they were on a team. That being said, I refuse to make her a weakling who gets her butt kicked for no reason. I will not compromise a fight scene for silly reasons like that. As for Hinata, I said it upright, she snapped after all that happened. When you mentally break someone, they don't come out unscarred. She's much more competent in a fight and will actually be a threat. Power has a price and sanity is the currency. Just ask Sasuke after he killed Danzo in the manga and anime. You know that creepy smile. I was thinking about actually having her use the caged bird seal, but at that point it would be a line I'm not willing to cross. Of all the things in the series, I find that seal to be an abomination. For all of you, who are hoping she sees the light in her fight with Naruto, don't count on it anytime soon. I'm a Naruto fan, nothing against Sakura either, but not in this story, and there is no harem, 3 girls, as I have said. I've got half a mind to follow Scorpion's discipline, Scorpion's masterpiece, read this when you get a chance, and kill her off, but it would serve no benefit. I have much bigger plans for her. Insert evil laugh. As for that whole snafu thing, that's gonna happen, eventually. Sorry Yu-Gi-Oh fans, it had to be done. I needed a reason for all the nations to take Akatsuki seriously, and now they only have 1 each minus Konoha and 2 wandering around. That's conflict bait. B is a bit more necessary in eventually controlling the chakra of the Biju, so he gets a pass. Next chapter will be recalling the Jinchuriki, for a reason, and there will be a time skip of about half a year to a full year. But don't expect it anytime soon. I have crap to do, and writing fan fiction may be fun, but a drain on time and therefore money. Plus, I've still got to update Advent of the Spiraling Ninja later. Canon Jutsu. Wind infusion. The act of adding wind nature chakra to a chakra construct. Gale needles. A variation of the chakra needle technique utilizing shape manipulation and wind chakra. Hardliner. Gale crusher. Naruto gathers a large amount of wind chakra into his fist and discharges it on impact. The lines that came before it were off G Gundam's shining fingers, I had to do it. Hardliner. Gale kick. Naruto infuses wind chakra into his foot for a powerful blow. Hardliner. Revolving cut. Naruto's version based off of Shizuka's Nadeshiko version. He covers his leg with wind chakra and delivers a falling kick. Chakra shield. Unlike a puppet's chakra shield, Naruto uses a seal and shape manipulation to do so. Triple contract seal. Removes control summoner has over any summoning like the regular version, but adds prevention and cancelling array to send the summoning back and prevent the summoner from summoning until it is removed. Earth style. Sand golem. Allows user to create a large humanoid creature composed of sand that can be made from pre-existing sand. Uzumaki custom. Fire seal. A sealing method that absorbs flames, similar to Jiraiya's fire sealing method, but customized for Naruto's inability to use hand seals. Canon jutsu. Lightning style. Wave of inspiration. The user generates a large amount of lightning from their hands which can be passed through conductive materials. Dog boar ram rat. Water style. Water trumpet. Water jets out the user's mouth with force. Named because of how the hands are held at the mouth. Dragon tiger rabbit. Chidori sharp spear. The original Chidori is shaped into a spear or blade and launched. Chidori Senbon. A variation of Chidori that relies on speed by using shape manipulation that are aimed at the enemy, and increasing the amount of chakra used can increase the number of needles. Earth style. Earth dragon bullet. Creates a dragon from mud to fire spheres of mud. Ram horse dragon. Earth style. Earth flow river. Creates mud and can do so underneath opponent to throw them off balance. Tiger. Earth style. Double suicide decapitation. The user hides underground and drags the object of their attack underneath to rob them of their freedom. Fire style. Phoenix flower. Creates a volley of small fire balls that can be controlled by using chakra. Mostly used as a distraction. Rat tiger dog ox rabbit tiger. Fire style. Fireball. Chakra needed inside one's body is converted into fire and expelled from the mouth as massive orb or flamethrower. Horse tiger. Fire style. Fire Dragon Bomb. The user exhales a flame breath from their mouth that combines with Earth Dragon Bullet. Tiger. Ink Flush. By directly pouring out his ink instead of drawing, Sai can create a large amount of creatures like a nest of snakes to attack the target. If destroyed, they can reform, making struggling pointless.